you are gonna see some cool ass shit.
Yeah, you don't want two Flavor Flays.
Heart transplants, brain surgeries. I've seen it all.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Walk up and just get it, whatever it is.
Yeah, brother.
I'm trying not to laugh, bro, but Josh is fucking killing me.
Guess what Navy SEALs do, motherfucker? They communicate and they're on the same fucking page.
Whoa.
3, 2, 1. We're rolling.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Happy Hoodlums podcast. Zach's flexing already. It's your host Kemper Woodruff, and we got the Happy Hoodlums podcast with the Meat Castle, Mr. Zachary Sampson, and another creature that we find in a similar place, the happy, the wonderful, the lovable Aziz Bakirov. Did I say that right?
Almost Bakirov.
There we go. Okay. So where are you from? Let's just start with that since you got a crazy name. I love it.
Born-wise, I was born in a remote village in Russia. Somewhere towards the border of Mongolia, the Mongolia, and the bottom part of Russia. I forgot the name. But my ethnicity-wise, I'm a pure-blooded Turkish man.
Woo!
Fuck yeah.
I love it. Hey, side note, part of the reason that Aziz went straight to our hearts is he's fed us, and his mom makes the most off-the-chain bread in the world. So I showed up at the gym one day. Zach told me about it, and I was so hungry, and it was actually a day when I did not have like any money. Sure enough, Aziz was like, "You want some bread?" And it was all like torn apart, but I thought it was just Monster Mash, and it was like a big circular piece of bread, right? So it looked like people were just mowing into it, and he was like, "Don't worry, bro, I wasn't biting off of it, but try this." Ripped me a piece, and I was like, "Yo, that is heavenly."
Yeah.
So
his mom makes some of the best food I have ever had, and every time she drops food off at the gym, it's like the best day of my life. It's amazing.
Unfortunately, she's not here for like a whole month. I've just been eating fast food and trying to cook something that burned the house down. And so, fortunately, thank goodness, my little sister's here. She has my mom's cooking talent and skill. She's currently making a food called logma. Misa had it, a buddy at work, and it's just a giant soup mixed with meat, veg, a couple of vegetables, and some spices, and noodles on the side. You would combine them. You would have bread, jalapenos. You would want a little bit spicy in it, and I can smell it right now.
Shit.
I'm getting,
yeah,
I would show the later off.
So
if she's making it.
I guess growing up, what was it like for you? Were you born, and you said you were born in Russia, right?
Correct. I was born in Russia. I lived there until I was like 2.5, and so I didn't really have much memory growing up. But the stuff I did, apparently, my parents say, I was a crazy kid. Like I love my siblings, and they're my heart. And apparently, I love my little sister a little too much. The second oldest, I was strolling her around in the stroller. I was still, she was like almost a year. I was strolling her. I took her to the edge of a hill, and I just goes. Grandpa saw it and caught her before she went too far. And like we had a dog. Her name was Sher Khan, or you guys know was named Tiger from the Jungle Book, I believe. Sher Khan. And I was just lugging this dog around, like telling her to sit, all that jazz. And like she was an intelligent dog because she listened to everything I said, even if it was sit, dance, or something. My uncle found me tying her to a rope. I just,
Bro,
it's like a tiny stick, and just
this
put
is
it
why we
around.
watch out for Russians.
She was a Rottweiler, like a purebred Rottweiler. She was like 3 foot tall.
Fuck.
For like a 2.5-year-old baby. Like, come on, let's go. Like, she could have easily ran off and took me along, like those movies
Mm-hmm.
where the guy's dragged by the horse.
Running. Yeah. All right. So, what was it like? I guess you were really young, but growing up in America, did your family adjust quickly, or what was that kind of like? What did your family start getting into? How'd that evolve?
Ooh. So we came here by boat. I remember that part a little bit because it was just dark and wet the whole time.
Whoa.
Because there was a huge purge going on. Like the Turks were just being kicked left and right. Some were being killed as well. And so we were lucky enough to leave. And so we got here to America. We didn't know how to speak. We struggled though for a good few months. But my mom had trouble trying to ask for hot water for the milk for my little sister. And so she said she wanted tea. When the person had the hot water, she said, no, no, I just want this. And she said, oh, okay. But growing up, it was completely different from how my family raised me and how other kids were. I I adjusted fast enough. There was three families living in one house. My grandparents, my uncles, and us. And they didn't really like America or the people mainly, but like stuff was like amazing to them because apparently they didn't have much like chips were really cheap here and they were common. And so we're just buying a bunch of chips, drinks and stuff like that. Like, oh wow, look at this stuff. Because we grew up, as I said, in a village. They had very little when it comes to stuff we take for granted, like chips at a convenience store, drinks and fast food down the street, no, all that jazz. And war was there as well. My dad had to live through a war-torn part, a civil war area, so he was used to hearing the mortar shells were raining, and so he told me it was safer here than there. And what was I gonna say? I'm I'm a little trailing off here.
That's okay. You know, it's interesting that you say that because I don't know much about like Turkish history at all. But working in the gun store, I found out that a large portion of like the guns that come in are manufactured over in Turkey. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, it's interesting because I know nothing of like Turkish military history or anything. So, this is a learning lesson for us too. But what was
We
different? I guess you said there that something was different between how you were raised and how everyone else was raised once you were here. Are you talking American kids or your family? Between your family?
oh, oh, I was I was I was growing up with parents and families sticking together like this, unbreakable. To me, like the family meant everything. Die for your family, live for your family, work for your family. And so and so I grew up in that mentality. That was and since I was the firstborn son, I was the first of my grand as a grandchild, and so I was loved the most. I was like, all right, the important one. I couldn't leave the cul-de-sac until I was like 8 because my
Hmm.
parents were too scared of something was going to happen to me. Like, oh, what if my son gets kidnapped? What if he gets hit by something, killed, yada yada? Because even though America's safer, they don't trust it at all due to stuff's been happening there during that time. Like, let's see, there was I believe, a serial killer that was down on these streets back in 2006 or 7, and they just were like news is everywhere, and my parents didn't want me out or anything like, oh, careful. And
I bet you the news is probably just way different, you know?
oh,
Because crazy people exist all over, but I also think you're right in that there's something about desperation that just naturally brings out that camaraderie and people coming together and sticking together. So it's interesting hearing your story and learning more about you because I can understand the reason why you're so genuine and embracing of people. You know, but it's funny to find that you were sheltered. I guess equal and opposite reaction makes you a very outgoing person because whenever we come into the gym, which like I'm used to seeing Zach there, but when Zach's not there and you're there, or Misa or Brian, we're slowly getting the whole gym staff on here because it's just great people. But when you're there, it's always like hell yeah, because you always like big me up right before my workout. I'm always like, okay, I got my mind in the right spot for sure, and I've been going through a lot of shit in my life, so um, people don't really understand the impact that they have on one another in the slightest, of like uh, interactions. That encouragement that you give can really change somebody's whole day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to an interesting podcast. I can't remember the gentleman's name, unfortunately, but he had said when he had gotten out of the military, he couldn't figure out how to be happy. So he chose to just be kind, you know? And I feel like I've been really in that place of learning how to be happy again. But when I'm not happy, I'm just trying to be kind to people. So, like, you being an example of just allowing that happiness to just pour forth from you and just be like, yes, like, you're here. Like, dude, that's the greatest shit ever to show up. You're like a human puppy in a way. Like, you show up to the gym, like, oh, he's here. I'm like, fuck yeah, cue the confetti, son. I'm in this bitch. It's leg day.
Yeah. I agree with you. I told myself if I could just be that one person to make you smile, it's enough for me. It's my own motto is a smile a day will keep the sadness away. Sometimes people just need that one person to cheer them up and it'll change everything.
So,
Even if
are you a sad person generally? Like, have you dealt with a lot of depression and stuff, and that
of
made
course
you such a happy person?
I have I have but growing up in a I'll say this now, the growing up in this type of family, I was taught to be a man, suck it in, do something about it. And I could never really express my emotions to my own a family. And that's why whenever I start, in like the something just snaps in me, I would I would just cry, like, oh, cry. I can't stop. How do I stop this and stuff like that? And I have lived balling up my emotions, and so I said, if I can't be really happy, then I can make others happy, and their happiness will bring me joy. And that's why I love talking to people, getting people to smile, having them laugh makes me happy. And so that's why whenever I see you guys, I feel happy, like, oh yes, I got people to talk to, the people there, and like these people are fantastic because they have their own stories and they have their own insights. Like Zach, he's the he's the first person I've actually have a full conversation, and like he told me about his blindness and stuff like that, and I got like, oh, okay, I didn't know about that. I didn't know, like, I tried to giving the Zach a dab, but my hand was too low and he just walked right past me. I was like, oh wait, and so I just had to raise my hand in front of him, like, oh, okay,
Yeah, he's
it
kind
was
of an
weird.
asshole like that.
Yeah, fuck you guys,
I'm
honestly. You're just not cool enough, and if you were just a little bit cooler, I might want to touch you. But
you know.
It does make you look really cool. I'm not gonna lie. You always it sucks when I miss a dab with you. I feel like such a loser still. I'm like fuck, bro. Like
Exactly.
really stay on point with it because no matter what, you feel like a bitch. You're just out there like, oh, all right.
I tried talking to Zach and trying to get his attention. And I was like, that too far to his left.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't see me at all. I'm like, oh, okay, he doesn't want to talk to me. And I forgot. Oh wait, he's he's like partially blind. I should get in front of him. I stood in front of him. He still didn't see me apparently. And so I said, Zach, Yo, dog, what is good? How are you doing? Oh, hey, how are you doing, Aziz? It's just most monotone. Oh, hey, I guess you're here. The type of voice like, oh, okay. And so I
Like,
told him,
oh,
like,
what's
hey,
up,
bro,
dog? How you doing?
yeah, yeah, like, hey, bro, you sound like a little bit douchey there. Like, oh, sorry, I was just thinking about something. I don't know what you were thinking about. Apparently, you were zoning out, as you told me. I think it was last week.
Yeah, bro, I get deep in thought sometimes when we're up at the front desk just chilling. Sometimes I'll be looking out at the gym, not really watching anyone in particular, but just thinking like not necessarily deep thoughts, but I'll get caught in a thought or like a wave of thoughts. And like I notice that it's like one time sometimes it'll be like one thought, then one thought leads to another thought, then another thought, then another thought, and then it gets to a spiral sometimes to where I gotta like literally snap myself out of it because it ends up, if the wave gets too big, it ends up becoming like bad thoughts. So I'm like, oh fuck. And so I'll get into like real weird zones like that. And my vision goes from like normal shitty vision to like really shitty vision when I'm really zoned in on a thought. And it's like my brain narrows my vision to and keep my thoughts flowing in a weird way that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I zone out real hard on you sometimes at the front desk. Wait, what the fuck did you say?
You're really focused out here, son.
Yeah, bro.
That's crazy. But I don't want to stray too far away from this because I think, and I think that's actually a great way of explaining what happens to our thoughts. When um, feelings become overwhelming and we don't know how to dissociate from our experience of like what we're feeling to actually see it in a black and white way of what's actually happening, because you're on such a low vibration, that you're just not seeing, you're not able to see what's up here because you only have just like a light spectrum, right? You only have this area of the spectrum, and all that positivity shit is over here, right?
Yeah.
And you're only seeing all this. But in terms of you learning how to uh, make others happy as a way to like comfort yourself. It's interesting that you say that because I always took that same approach. But what's been kind of a game changer for me is realizing like the pain is just an indicator. Like the pain, like growing pains are real. And so you always grow more than the pain that's caused by it. But when you're trying to escape it and you feel like you have to, like, even whether it's talking to somebody to let it out, whether it's smoking something, drinking something, having sex with someone, whatever it is, right? All these different things are actually taking you away from your true power that you're being called to, you know? And so it's interesting that the people that deal with like the most sorrow make this huge impact. You can think about it like Robin Williams, right? Robin Williams, phenomenal at making other people feel good, winds up killing himself, right? And so I think it's important. And the reason I kind of wanted to ask this is like, we don't check on people oftentimes that are really always checking on other people. And we don't realize that they're giving away the love that they really are asking for in return, you know? And in our society, we just get super selfish, and we just take, and we forget to turn around and give, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going with it from there, but that's just a little bit of game for you, I guess.
I found out about myself as well after going off of what you said. Like, I give to hopefully receive something back. In most of the cases, not the desired result after making someone happy, but I don't mind as long as they're happy. I'm cool. But I would also like something back, like a little exchange. Here's my genuine care and love. I'll like some back, a little bit back, like maybe the change or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
like giving someone a whole dollar and they're giving you back the 25 cents. It's still something back, right? And you're happy.
But you still feel shortchanged. You know what I mean? And so that's why I
Yeah.
say, like, whatever you're giving to other people, you got to give it twice as much to yourself. Like if it's your habit to be someone who gives to other people, then the only way for you to learn your lessons and evolve and is to overcome that nature by giving to yourself. If you're somebody who gives only to yourself primarily, then their lesson is to give to other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of set up different ways, but it's really about overcoming our nature. So that way we can be comfortable in a spot where it's like the only level up is in leveling up, right? Where it's continuous. And so not only are you giving to other people, but you're giving to yourself. Because if you really kind of look at it, it's that as I'm doing this action, I'm channeling this genuine love through me, right? And it just
Mm-hmm.
feels good to be that channel and to have that energy housed in me. And so the same way that you give it to other people, you got to learn now, how do I give that to myself in between? You know, that's something that has really been helping me and challenging me to like learn how to love myself more, because I didn't realize what we fuck up in life is primarily due to a self-image problem, because we
Mm-hmm.
don't feel worthy of having the thing that we really want. And so some people will go about it in a janky way where it's like, again, they're running away from this pain, this underlying pain of not feeling that they're worthy of what they really want. And so they go the quick route, right? And the quick route has a brief spike where it looks like it's going to pay off, and then it's got a fucking cliff behind that hill. You know what I mean? Like you fall fast off of that shit. And I learned that from selling drugs. You know what I mean? Like you make money really quick, but then
But
shit always comes up, and it's like God will cut a hole in your pocket. So it's like as you're stuffing the shit through the top, it's falling out the bottom, and you don't even realize it because your pocket's so fat at first. But then by the time you get to where you're trying to go, you ain't got no money on you. It's like fuck, the situation just isn't right.
You know, there's a like you know the golden rule that you learn growing up as a kid, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Um
mm-hmm.
I always thought that was like I feel like that should have been half the golden rule. It should
Mm-hmm.
be something like treat others the way you want to be treated. But treat yourself the way you treat others.
Mm.
Because most of the time, most people, sometimes they're shitty people, but most people treat others better than they'll treat themselves, right? So like they'll go out of like people pleasers, right? They'll go out of their way to make other people happy, but then when they're in private or by themselves, they'll have all this negative self-talk. They'll put themselves down. They won't treat themselves the way that they treat others, right? And so it's like if you're willing to put effort into other people, putting that effort into yourself is going to be just as beneficial and in the long term feel 10 times better. And like not in this like a selfish way. Usually when I tell people like focus on self-love or do the thing that makes you happiest, a lot of people end up going to this like, "Oh, but that's super selfish." No, cuz uh you can make decisions based on your happiness that don't affect other people. And it's selfish when you get to the point of like your decisions are now affecting other people negatively. That's when selfishness becomes a thing. But if your decisions to just like, all right, I need to cut this person out of my life because they're not making like they're drawing my entire life into a negative direction, that's not a selfish thing, right? Not in my opinion anyways. But I've always thought just like if you want to be happier, it genuinely starts with treating yourself better. And things like self-love coming out of a breakup. A lot of people will get into this like really deep, dark despair place of like, holy shit, I'm not worth I'm worthless, or I'm never going to find anybody. Or they'll go to the opposite and be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to start fucking people and stuff like that. And coming out of that to practice self-love and to really like dive deep into it. It's okay to like feel those shitty emotions, but to come out of that and look at your life and say, what can I improve about myself so that I feel better, right? And so personally, me, every single breakup that I've had that was significant, I improved some piece of my life that ultimately made me happier about who I am. And so like my very first breakup, I started working out. That was almost 10 years ago. And then the next one was meditation, and then yoga, and then reading, and then double down on reading and working out. And so to come out of something super dark and really go headfirst into self-love, I guarantee you it'll bring you out of something faster and in a more sustainable way that's healthy.
Yeah, and just to add on to that real quick, if you really look at what you're saying, it goes back to that whole psychology thing of people seek comfort and avoid pain. They seek pleasure while avoiding pain, right? If you reverse engineer that, right, you fuck up the whole system, right? And you become like, I was watching 300 last night. You become like a Spartan, where it's like you take that duty on, and you're like, I fucking love this shit, son. You know what I mean? Like, really, like, I'll die for these principles, and the principles are, applicable across the board. So that love that you have for other people is found within your purpose. And you can't exercise your purpose without loving yourself, you know, for having that, otherwise it's worthless. You know, it's just something that you're doing and you're not really learning what we were all put here to overcome. So, seeking and leaning into that discomfort, leaning into that pain in order to become more comfortable, in order to become more grateful, is really that methodology of transformation. But I wanted to ask you, have you, because you're pretty young, right? How old are you, real quick?
I will be turning 20 in September.
Yeah, so you're young. I was gonna ask you, do you feel that you're on the trail where you found your purpose yet, or are you kind of figuring that out still?
I was derailed a couple times and I tried hopping back on. But the more I hop back on, the more I realized, is this what I really want to do? Or is this what other people moved me into thinking? And the more I think about it, like, oof, I kind of want to do this portion, but not this one. I want to earn this, but avoid that. And so I thought, like, college, it's a good thing, it's a good cause, but it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's always an alternative version. Grade school, and the learning from somebody. You don't have to earn a degree to get to higher places. There's people who haven't even touched college and are smarter than most kids who graduated a valedictorian on their major. Example, and the computer science is such a broad like thing to learn. You don't have to go to college. College is a way to actually set up a small path for you to walk, and it makes it slightly easier to learn because there's someone teaching you. You could just go find someone who's been doing this stuff for a while and just sit next to them and learn it, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you about a couple things here and there and there. I
That's
don't have to pay dollars.
you're talking about being life smart. Not allowing yourself to be book smart and life stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'll tell you right now, I've learned some jewels about life from the most unlikely sources, like talking to fucking crackheads and shit, like, because I really would, especially like when I was younger, I would talk to a lot of people that were junkies and shit. But a lot of, they've made so many mistakes in their life, someone that lives with that much regret, those pivotal points in their life where they fucked up that journey is oftentimes right in the forefront of their mind because their spirit's trying to get them out of that addiction and trying to get them to do that, but they just
Mm-hmm.
feel so far gone, because this happened back then, and then this happened, and then this happened, and now it seems irreversible. But if you ask somebody like that, you might not want the advice or something like that directly comes from them, but if you read between the lines on it, you
Mhm.
can figure it out. But what you're talking about is really next level in that it's mentorship, right?
Yeah,
Where mentorship.
like the best people to ask about something you don't know is elderly people, especially those who have worked in the fields, worked in hard labor jobs, or they've been in a company for so long that they know the ins and outs of it. Like my grandpa's, he's he's been in the military for what 6 years. He's been working on farm for most of his life. His dad passed away when he was young, and so he was forced to work at the age of 6 on hard labor. He wasn't sent to school, so he doesn't have much of an education. But like now he's grew up through hardship. He's grown up to so much that he knows stuff will happen like this. My dad still asks him for advice. My dad says, no matter what you learn in the books, I bet you your grandpa knows more than those books will.
I was gonna say, I think you're right on it, because the next thing that I was gonna ask you behind the whole purpose question is, who do you want to be? Because
Uh,
really, if you have an image that's clear of like the man that you are, like what a man is. And I think sometimes when we talk up in generations, that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at their character because we can see how it's played out in their life, right?
mm,
And it's like, if someone's happy at the end of their life, if they're still loving and everything, right? You're like, I want to be like that guy. All the
oh
money in the
hell.
world, you could be a rich old Uncle Scrooge, right? But
Mhm.
you can turn around and be like, that guy that's happy over there, he won in a different way.
Oh,
There's something you can't take from that guy.
easiest question in my life is my grandpa. The people say my dad, but no one could hold a candle to my grandpa. I've heard stories of how he grew up. He was abused, violenced. He was no stranger to violence. He was a gangster before he met my grandma. He was known. He had a nickname called the Conley Seppo, basically trans to the bloody fowl. And he was the village protector. He protected the villagers from other gangsters from different towns or villages. He was the guy that would. He was super respectful as well. Like he fought to protect or stop something from happening. And like the through life, he has grown. He has experienced. He has 4 children, and those children had 4 kids each. I'm the oldest of, let's see,
12.
well here it is 12 children. In total, it would be 16 kids. I'm the oldest then. And so and I raised all of them. I had to watch as the parents worked, or they've been through like schooling. My mom had to go to college to learn English. I was home watching the kids. I was helping my parents as well. All that jazz.
Hmm. So it's interesting that you say that, because now as we kind of hear that, it reveals an aspect of your personality, and something that I can really relate to is like not always being able to be a kid, even though you're a kid, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so learning how to evolve out of that, you know, is really difficult sometimes, because we put these standards on ourselves to be a man before we know what a man is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our judgment of our whole life, from being young up until, through our teens. And now we're at this pivotal moment where you get out of high school and they're like, yo, you need to know what to do. Right. So 20 is an interesting age, because now you're like, well, shit, I feel like I should be way farther than I am, because your standard of what a man is up here. So don't let that, twist around, and change from being a lofty standard, it's good to have that as your baseline of responsibility, but learning how to live up to that standard in your own eyes is next level. That's what's going to allow you to take and do what you need to do to become that person. That's why I say before I read this book, Psycho-Cybernetics, I did not understand how self-image governed the subconscious in correspondence with goals, right? So whatever you attach I am to, whatever you feel that you are, your level of self-awareness and your identity, right, is linked to goals. And so if you feel unworthy, it doesn't matter what goal you put along with it, it will drive you to that unworthy feeling. But when you change it and you're like, oh, I am healthy. And then you go, all right, well, what is healthy to me? I'm 175 pounds of pure muscle, right? Whatever it is for you. What is rich to you? I have X amount of dollars. Now your brain kicks in and starts driving you to that point. The deal breaker is most people don't know how to leverage their psyche. They're unwilling to get to that painful spot where they feel and allow and accept them to feel broken enough, right, to break off from that identity and establish a new one. That's like if you look at an addict, right? It takes a long time for them to hit rock bottom. A lot of people got to hit rock bottom before they change. And once something happens that's absolutely horrible, they go, oh shit, I am not a drug addict, right? Because what they do, they said, I'm worth more than this. And they attached it with a goal, not doing drugs, right? And then you can offer them all they want. They could cold turkey it, a lot of them, they will make it happen because now they are not someone that does drugs. That's part of their identity, right? I had this conversation with my mom one time because my mom, she said to me, a mother's only as happy as her least happy child. And I said, Mom, don't do that. I love you, and I know that that's coming from a good place, but that's not healthy. So you're attaching your happiness to something that's outside of your circumstances, and I love you too much to do that because I'm going to go through things in my life and struggles, and I don't want you to have to feel responsible for that. And it kind of clicked on this light bulb where she was like, oh, okay. And she was able to give herself permission. But what does it do? It puts all that responsibility on you to accept what you feel for yourself. Not saying, oh, I'm broken because I have these family obligations or this didn't happen, right? You go, all right, I do feel this way. Now that I can look it in the face and go, yeah, I should be mad about that. I should hate that feeling. That's a standard that I've accepted for myself that I can't accept. And so no wonder I'm wrestling inside of myself. And it's hard for me to get myself into action, right? And so that's when the question becomes like, who is Aziz? In here, Sorry, I didn't mean to melt your mind.
Don't worry, it's a normal thing.
Actually, I'll be right back. My dad just came home. I would like to say hi to him.
Okay, go for it. Yeah. Now that's some family shit right there.
Yeah, thanks.
He just redesigned himself right in front of us and was like, I'm a family man, son. Peace.
Deuces. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Of course.
Fuck.
Now, for a brief intermission, y'all grab your snacks if you got them.
Yep. Oh, fuck.
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Are you wanting to? Are we cutting it or no?
I
just wanna
mean,
know.
I think that was kind of funny. I think we should keep it.
Okay. No, I'm talking
That was
about
bad.
cutting it where he leaves.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I don't know what's up with this hilarious.
That's
Is
his
that a
profile.
monkey or something?
I don't know what that is, but that's his profile picture.
I don't know, but
Oh
I
no,
like
it's an
it.
anime chick.
Okay, we're cutting it.
I like this. You know, I heard that last part.
We're keeping it. We're fucking keeping it.
I was gonna change it to Arnold in his the government as
Arnold.
the government. As I like, oh yeah, if they see my thing, it's not gonna be okay.
That's all good. I love some anime titties, son.
It's
I
not
just thought it was
explicit, so we're good. You know, it doesn't
I thought
show
it was
anything.
a little monkey looking like, and then I was like, "What is that?"
No, it's a sexy anime chick.
Yeah,
And
I
it
can do it.
be from a dude, bro. The game she's from, it's so psychological and like really emotional because it tells a deeper meaning than the titties. It just
Oh, it's a video game chick. Okay.
yeah. It's
Anime
like
bitches that look at the titties.
it's the first thing that actually made me tear up because there's different elements to it, and the story is so well built.
Yeah.
It's too freaky of like how well it's connected.
You know what game
But
did
yeah.
that to me? Fucking Red Dead 2.
Oh,
Red Dead Redemption 2 made me fucking cry, dude. It was such a good game, and I was like, damn, they got me. They fucking hook, line, and sinker, dude. That was the best game I've played in a long time. Like, single player
that
game.
I didn't even know that Arthur Morgan had a different grave depending on his infamy. If he was a
Yeah.
good guy, he had flowers and stuff. That was such a neat detail that they added.
Yeah. It was fucking an
Dude,
amazing game.
I have such a hard time playing cowboy games like that because in the second one at least especially, my infamy was like through the roof. In the first one, I still played video games enough to like get away with it where I could kill the people that were like sent after me. Yo, in Red Dead 2, I just got frustrated. I couldn't keep playing that game because I couldn't stop myself from doing some evil shit in that game.
Die,
I was like,
motherfucker, die!
yeah, this is shit I can't do in real life, bro. So I'm fucking everybody up. Everyone's getting it, son. And then just I'm off trying to do a mission and fucking dudes come out of nowhere. I'm like, gosh damn it, every time.
Yeah.
So yeah. I heard it was a great game though. Like I fuck with it. I have a question though. Why is it that repetition in video games doesn't get to some people, but it gets to other people? Like I can deal with the repetition of like going to the gym in real life over and over and over again, but I can't deal with the repetitiveness of a video game.
Okay, now there's a multiple parts to this question, as I've been through all this, unfortunately, but it's the reward. You could play the same level, but the reward is different. It's either the one you're looking for, and it's not, and then you have to restart it and try your best. Or you could try to see how fast you could do the level, how fast you could go farm it. And there's just times where, yeah, I agree, it does get a little too repetitive. Example, in real life, like the people get bored of a job because it's the same thing over and over. And so they look to do something else. Oh yeah, I don't like the job, but they still do the job because they need the money or the reward. And so like the where I work at or where we work at, it was my first job ever. I love it every minute. But then I noticed like okay, it's starting to repeat a bit more, and then I started to notice the problems with it. A lot of people, especially since summer started, just a bunch more assholes now, especially at nighttime, and they would and like they make me the stay after work for like 40 minutes because I'm cleaning up. I'm telling people, hey, get out. It's time where people are taking showers the last minute and make me stay over. and this is happening the past few times I've worked the late shifts. It's just been getting to me. Oh, okay. And that's why I love the morning, because the people in the morning are the same people, always the same people. And you don't have to worry about them talking crap or giving you trouble. You don't have to worry about people doing shady crap in front of you. As it's broad daylight or it's in the morning, and so not people are awake and doing stuff. And the repetition, and some people aren't, you know, built to handle doing something the same over and over. And that will start causing people to go crazier and saying like, okay, I've been doing this homework, the same homework for like 4 hours. Every class is like almost the same structured homework. And people will get bored and burnt out like, okay, this enough for today. And so just toss it aside. And that's why most people do like homeworks last second, as I did unfortunately, like, oh, it's due in 20 minutes. All right, I'll do it right now. Because they don't want to deal with doing homework when they leave school. Like, okay, school's done. I'm free to just hang out now, relax. I got school tomorrow, anyways. And then they give you school work to do at home. Like, oh, I guess I'm not done with school yet, and so you started, and so on and so forth.
You know, like in terms of like Red Dead, where it's the repetition over and over, where it's like, okay, you're running on a trail with your horse, all of a sudden these guys come out of the fucking hills and attack you, and then it happens 20 more times in your 1 hour gaming session. That repetition is more of a nuisance than going to the gym. Because one, the gym has what, like Aziz said, a reward from it. But if you're playing a game where it's something like that, where it's like people just coming and attacking you randomly, it's not like a level that you can grind out and get a new reward from. So that repetition gets so fucking annoying. Another game that's like that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It was just fucking over and over and over the same shit. You fucking drive your boat down a thing, you attack some shit, and you fucking leave. You go into a cave, you fucking find your way through it, you find some shit, you leave. And it's just that same thing over and over. And it was way too much and way too big of a map to be entertaining. And so I actually fucking stopped playing the fucking game before I even finished it because of that. And so like the repetition is just different. If you feel like sometimes you can escape the fucking repetition. Like I honestly would just run away from those people when they fucking chase me down. Like when they came out of the woods, I would just go. I would just be like, so all right, I'm not fucking with you.
Are you saying that, like, if I feel that I'm going somewhere, then the experience isn't going to be something that you're going to bail on?
Exactly. If there's something if you see something at the end of the road that comes from this repetition that's beneficial or entertaining or fun or satisfying, it's going to be so much easier to stay on it regardless of how repetitive it gets. You know?
Have you guys heard of... Sorry, go on, Aziz.
Oh, sorry. I just feel like it's like in the real life, like as I was already talking about it, the repeating something and seeing something at the end you want. Like example, the working. It gets repetitive, yeah. But then at the end, there's the money. I can use the money to buy me something or buy my siblings some food. We can hang together, and that's a reward in itself. Like, oh, okay. Or I could go help my aunt. I keep helping my aunt to go and fix this or fix that. It's the same. Go help her, help her, help her. And then in the end, I get food. It's a great reward, especially if it's good food. And repetition also has small deviations. It could be the same. It could be the exact same problem, but there's a different problem in it. Like example, if the pipes are broken, you go check it out. It's not the pipe you were thinking about, but it's just a smaller valve in the corner you would have never thought about. And so you learn like, oh, also this could cause this problem here too. I didn't know that. Also this small problem could cause this one, or this could cause this. It could look the same problem, but there's different causes to it. Example, work. There's a problem. So just people being asses, but they come and complain for different reasons. It's never always, oh yeah, the bathroom's broken, the bathroom's dirty. No, like, oh yeah, the weights are snapped in half, or something like, oh, someone just snapped the weights in half, or
Zach
That's
yeah,
not
be
me.
crazy, Zach.
out here rampaging in the gym.
Or like there is the shady homeless people outside the door. Oh, to do something about it. I'm like, it's just people coming complaining to me, and it's not my business to do it. Like, I'm just there to make sure you guys don't steal anything, shoot up the place, or stab me. I'm only I don't need to deal with it.
Well,
So,
for that, you have gone above and beyond, my friend, because you've definitely made it a more enjoyable place, and no one stabbed you yet or shot it up. So I think you're succeeding by that definition. You know what I mean? But
thankfully, yeah.
have you ever heard of opportunity cost?
Opportunity costs. I've
So
not heard that.
this is something that they teach. Well, at least they taught me in like economics and stuff. But it's basically that while I'm doing this, I'm not doing that. The
Ooh.
opportunity that I'm taking advantage of right now is costing me another opportunity, you know?
Oh,
And
it's
so when you're young, it's a good thing to come to understand the investment of time and energy, right? Because if while you're at the gym, you're not making the best investment of that time by either exercising yourself, talking to people that are experts, people that have the result that you want, and creating a system for yourself to then test and improve yourself, it's costing you more than they're probably paying you. Because you being a smart guy, you can make a lot of money in just about whatever you do, right? Or while you're getting paid this amount of money, you could be researching something else,
mm-hmm.
right? Both of which are pretty beneficial for your time. But learning to understand the value of time is something that people overlook. And I think that's really also the leading factor of why I don't play video games anymore is they're so much fun. Like when the most recent Call of Duty came out, I played it for about 3 weeks. I played the shit out of that game before they changed all the mechanics on it and stuff. Then it was too fast. I couldn't keep up. But I played that game like nobody's business. But I had to look at myself and go, all right, this opportunity that I'm taking advantage of is also costing me in many other areas of my life because I'm a very addictive person in like I'm an obsessive kind of person. You know, I'm just a unique brand of crazy, I guess. You know, where it's like when I find something I like, I fucking love it, you know? And if I don't, I'm not fucking with it. Like if I'm anywhere in the middle, I'm just not messing with it at all.
I gotta be honest too, dog. Like I'm too addicted to video games to the point where I just checked my Steam and it tells you the hours you played on games. Now we check like my most played game. I have 400 hours on it. That's like 400, 300, 300, 200, 400. Like, oh, okay. These may be a little too the too much I've been playing,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't stop.
You know,
So go ahead.
go ahead. No. Finish your thought.
I was gonna say like, even though I know it's a bad thing, I can't stop, and so I decided to do something else in the process, like maybe be on my phone, reading, reading the news and stuff like that, or going outside, just walking and looking at the trees. And the trees are really interesting because there is no tree that is identical. No matter if you clone that tree, it will never grow the same. It will always grow differently. And so the more I look at the trees, especially the pine trees that look almost identical, there is always a deviation in each one. That's the cool thing.
Um, you look at your Steam hours and shit like that, and you're saying 400 and 300. Aziz, I have a couple thousand hours on a few different games. Um,
Oh,
so
Skyrim.
I've got probably 5 to 10,000 hours on Skyrim. I've got like 5,000 plus hours on GTA. So I've got like some fucking time put into some video games. But what I can tell you is,
that's not the.
regardless of how much time you spend playing video games, if you can get yourself to a point where it's like anything else, like it's like a diet, right? Moderation is key. If you can moderate how much time you spend on these video games, if you feel like the amount of time you're spending on them is a waste of time, although I feel like any time that you spend enjoying something is not a waste of time. So regardless, like if you spend 5 hours a day or 10 hours a day playing Call of Duty, if you enjoyed that time, it's not wasted. But if you feel like it's wasted, practice moderation. It's like I don't play 10, 14 hours video games a day anymore because I have to go work out. I wake up in the morning, I go work out, I come home, I'll eat breakfast, go work out, come home, cook, study, read. I can't sit here anymore and play 10 hours of video games. And so if you feel like the amount of video games you're playing is too much, don't completely cut it off because that's an enjoyable time in your day. That's a way to like decompress and give yourself a chance to like there's a lot of people doing this nowadays, which is healing your inner child, which is like a lot of shit that you didn't get to experience as a kid because of shit that you were going through. And now that you're an adult and you have more control over your life, being able to do that and only focusing on that. And so if you give yourself a chance to do that, you can bring your inner child out and be more fun, be more exciting. You don't gotta fucking obsess over it, but fucking have fun. Who gives a shit? You don't always gotta be business. Like, fuck that.
Dude.
And anyone who says otherwise, of like, oh, video games are a waste of your time, you should be out there fucking hustling and grinding, like, bitch, you do shit you enjoy too. It's just different shit. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at it as in never subtract anything from your life, only substitute, right? So you can't change like something that's a negative habit without replacing it with something. And so replacing negative habits with positive habits is the only thing that works. And so if you're getting something that's causing you, like video games, a ton of dopamine to be released in your life, the only way that you're really going to replace it is to choose something that's a healthier alternative that will provide you that same thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like the amount of like if the amount of video games you're playing is detrimental to your mental health, then sure, like toning it down is fucking awesome. I don't think, unless you're able to make a career out of playing video games, spending all day playing video games is not healthy.
Mm.
And so having things that break up that video game time, even if it's like a couple hours at night, you don't have to spend. Well, we talked about it on the podcast before. There was this the dopamine depletion thing is a thing. And basically what it is if you have so many different things that give you super quick hits of dopamine, like you get on fucking Instagram and you can watch 10, 15-second videos, those are fucking just feeding your dopamine hits all the fucking time. And then you go play video games and it's more dopamine. And then you do more shit and more shit, eat your fucking favorite foods and candy, and that's more dopamine. All of a sudden, you're so dopamine depleted that you don't need it from anywhere else. And so you don't look for it anywhere else. And so a good way to build up that dopamine again, the dopamine stores or whatever you want to call it, is by reducing those things from your life. Like, for example, I recognized I played way too many video games when I realized I was playing like 8 to 14 hours a day sometimes, right? And so I was like, holy shit, that's way too much. So I cut it way the fuck down and I prioritized doing things like longer workouts, cooking meals instead of putting my shit in the microwave, things like that, to force myself out of my room and doing things like that, as well as not eating in front of my computer, eating in front of the TV or something like that. Just a small change that kept me away from where I'm playing video games.
I also think we don't realize how interesting we are until we unplug from the matrix of modern day life. Like,
Facts.
one thing that I've kind of realized in all that I'm going through is like, the less that I need to function at a high level,
Yeah.
the more powerful I am. And so, like, random shit, you know, like if you don't have a girl that you're with, you know, you might want to jack off every now and again, right? That's just some real shit, right?
I mean, even if
You
you're
know,
with a girl, you might want to. Fuck it.
yeah, but just not doing it, you know what I mean? Is like it strengthens you. Even like it's to the point where it's like when you're driving down the street and you see like a fine ass chick, you're not like, what? You don't break your neck at her, right? Or like when you're in the gym, you're like, I don't even look that way. And it's a strange training that makes you honor yourself, you know, and be like, my experience means so much to me that for me to lessen it by being less attentive or less present with myself, whether it's me looking at a cell phone or what it is, right? We don't really realize how interesting we are. So we can spend so much time in our life that that opportunity to play the video game cost you the profound experience that you would have if, say, like your grandfather gardening or like being on the farm. You don't know how much shit he learned about life just from cool thoughts that came to him, you know, because he was so unplugged from things where it's like just walking across the field on a beautiful day, fully present, is like, whoa, you come to understand what nature is and what my experience of nature is and how valuable that is, rather than walking across the field, listening to music and doing all that stuff. That's why sometimes when I work out, I won't even listen to any kind of music because it's like there's a value of where you go when you're not escaping that pain, right? When you're just like, oh, fuck yeah, let's get it on. You know, like I'm about to learn something of myself, what this experience means to me, you know?
You want to
And
know
that
some
it's not
crazy
always
shit?
this like headstrong thing. It's also like an encouraging thing. And profound thoughts will come to you, you know?
You want to know some probably like psycho shit that I did, and I think I'm continuing to do it.
Hmm.
So I'll wear headphones in the gym from time to time, but I've only started doing brown noise. So rather than like, there's different versions. Yeah, there's different versions of like like static noise, white noise, gray noise, brown noise. And so
Trying
I'll
to do a
just throw
squat and
on
not shit yourself.
I'll throw on a fucking 24-hour stream of just in my fucking ears while I'm in the gym. Drowns everything the fuck out. And you want to be able to fucking only hear you, fucking do that. If that's all you want to do is hear your thoughts and what you're feeling in your body, that's the fucking way to do it. And it's
Bro.
fucking different and it's fucking crazy.
I might try it just to try it, but yo, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Have you ever came close to shitting yourself listening to it?
No, because it's just fucking. That's all it is. It's not.
No, like, you ever see that South Park episode where they're talking about the brown note, where it's like if you play a certain note, like everybody craps their pants?
No, I've never watched South Park like that.
But, oh man, you're missing out. Okay, That's what I thought you were talking about, bro.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no, no,
yo,
no,
you're
no.
a psychopath.
No,
I'm gonna
it's
go in here. I'm gonna do fucking legs all day today and try not to shit myself. Let's go.
no, it's just brown noise. That's the name of it. Because there's like it's like
Oh.
so like it's just a different, like, if you know like white noise, it's a very like light static noise, but brown noise is a little deeper. And so like there's different variations of static noise that help you focus or sleep and things like that. And so brown noise is something that can help you focus. I actually start using it when I study too for my PT exam. It's like I'll listen to it and read and shit.
You think you know somebody, and then you do a podcast with them, and you find
you find out they do some sadistic shit, like listen to just.
I thought he was gonna say he's jacking off with sandpaper or something.
Yeah, I wondered why my dick was raw.
Anyway. I don't know.
Anyway. That just got really awkward. That was awesome.
It was the sandpaper. What the fuck?
It was the pause after I left you out there. Sorry, Aziz. Come on. I'll shut up so we can hear you.
No. I was just adding on to the sandpaper thing. Like, hey, bro, I never used sandpaper. Have you tried a whetstone?
Oh, this is getting weird.
Oh, yeah, this is getting. Aziz can say some weird shit. I've heard him say some shit, bro. I'm like, first of all, I've heard him say shit, and then I look around to make sure no one heard it. I'm like,
Aziz, a whetstone? That's exotic. We don't know what Turkish sex is like yet. Fuck yeah, wet stones. I'm gonna bring one of those. Hey, if you bring a wet stone to bed, I don't know what a chick's gonna think, but she's like, that's some medieval sexy shit. What are we doing tonight?
Honey, shing, shing. Right now.
No, just bring out the knife. She's out. She's like, nope, that's too crazy for me.
Not into blood.
Yeah, that was a crazy ass noise for a stone to make. Shing, shing. I wanted a knight in shining armor, but he better not come to bed with a motherfucking sword on him.
Nice.
Oh fuck.
Well, guys, any closing thoughts?
I'm good, man. You know, this was great. It's fucking fun. This was lighthearted. It was good.
I appreciate you guys asking me to come on. I enjoyed every moment of this. Of course, I hope to see some results in the future, man.
If you need some more, again.
Hell yeah, bro. I look forward to it. If you need more wild stuff, I told you guys the tame stuff. I can tell you some freaky stuff that happened as well.
Okay. Well, give us one more freaky story, and then we'll be out of here. Give me one freaky one.
I think I told you, Zach, about 4 months ago. There was some Samoans who were just drinking and smoking right outside my cul-de-sac, just like right there. And they've been doing it for years, so we never really had a problem, just a little annoyed. But like one day, I was upstairs playing games. My sisters were downstairs, my 2 sisters, my little brother, just us. And there was like a loud banging downstairs. It was like someone trying to break in. And so my sisters were yelling at me like to come downstairs, and they told the guys, the 2 Samoans, because apparently my neighbors, they parked their car in the middle of the cul-de-sac. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and so they weren't going to move until the morning. And one of the Samoans were trying to leave, and they hit our car, and they got really angry, and so they went knocking on doors to see whose cars it was, and they were probably just zoinked out their mind. They were banging on the door so hard. I thought they were trying to break in. So I come downstairs. I told them to leave. Like, hey man, just go, get out of here. It's not our car. And I had this big old 6-inch knife, a ceremonial sheep cutting knife, and so it was like the little bit of embroidered on the hilt. It was like It's like that's the size of my arm type of blade. And so I was like, if they do something, I'll cut them. So they left, and I go outside and make sure everything's fine. And they're talking with the neighbors. I go over to make sure, like, because they don't do anything. There was 10 of them, big old Samoans. And the oldest brother, I know him well. I live next to him. So, like he lived across the fence, but I knew him well. And they were just arguing and so like, hey guys, just go home. I said that, just go home. And they just lost their shit. And they started yelling at me like, hey, what do you mean go home? We live here. We live in those houses. No, they didn't live in those houses. They point out houses my neighbors lived in. Like that. I don't know if you think I'm stupid or what. I lived here for 16 years, almost 7. That's the same thing. I know all you bitches, where you all live, and I know where your mom's at. I'll go snitch on your moms because there were some kids drinking as well, with their older brothers, and they come here to smoke and drink away from their parents. Like, hey, I could take a picture and go to your mom, like right now. Like, hey, look, is this your son smoking and drinking? And they just got furious. And keep in mind, I hid the big old knife under my shirt, and I had my hand on it the whole time. And they were getting really like aggressive and violent. And one was about to start fighting me. He took his jacket off, so I started getting this close and yelling at me. And I started yelling back. I got pissed, like, bro, I just said go home, go home. And so like, and then like, my sisters came outside like complete idiots. I was like, oh shit. If something happens, I'm gunning him first. Because if they get to my sisters, if they knock me out, I don't know what I would do. And so then my sisters came outside and they told me to come home. And then Jafar, thank God, he's our Somali neighbor. He's a great dude. We've known him for a long time. We came out and like he disarmed the situation a bit, and I went inside. My sisters called my dad, and they formed. My dad's crazy. Like he would kill anybody to protect us, and he heard it. He flew home with my mom. And as soon as he got out of the car, he yelled at me, "Which one was about to punch you?" And so he went into these 10 big old Samoans in the middle, yelling at him, telling them, "Hey, what the hell is your problem? Do we got something going on?" And they started yelling at him. And the youngest one, the older dude's brother, I don't know what happened, but he lost his mind and he started yelling at my dad. My dad yelled to the point where his voice was dropping. And my sister said something, and then the youngest one swore at my sister, calling her a whore in front of my dad. Like, and like he was behind the people too, and so like he thought he was safe. My dad yelled at him and told to shut that beep beep's mouth immediately. And then like the older brother that told his buddy to go shut him up. He started talking about, and then he said something again to my sister. He called my sister a bitch while walking away. And he turned at me and yelled at me as he's to go grab the gun. He was yelling at me to go grab it. My mom said, no, don't. And so he was there just yelling, threatening them. Like, hey, you guys better leave. I'll kill you. You kill me. My brothers will come kill you. Everyone's going to die. I don't care if I die or go to jail. I live my life. Yeah, I was like, whoa, Dad. I still need you, dog.
He's like, if you die, I die. What the fuck?
I did not anticipate this being the last story you pulled out of your hat. I love it. Well, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Hoodlum shit. Not happy hoodlum shit. Unhappy hoodlum shit.
It was just wild, dog. And after that, the situation died down. We waited. My dad pat me on the back, like, good job for standing up. And Jafar came like, hey, good job for standing up for yourself. Unfortunately, your dad had to come. I know how crazy your dad could be. But he knows my dad already, like, hey, he could go crazy, but thankfully everything's okay. And so I'm still happy I stood up for myself. I was scared. but my sisters were there, and so that fear went to protectiveness. Like, hey, I don't mind dying now. I got my sisters there. I'd rather die than see them get hurt, and that's all family should be. So, and that's why I always keep a knife here, up here.
Hey,
But
see,
that's
I told the viewers earlier, Aziz has decided number one priority, family man. I fucking love it. All right. Now we'll have to go into some de-escalation topics next time and all about that kind of shit. And you should probably come down to the gun store and we'll read. I'll put you on game with a couple books that will set you up with de-escalation tactics and things of that nature. But for now, we're leaving it on a crazy note. We asked for it. You delivered. We love you. I'll see you at the gym. Happy Hoodlums, baby.
Peace.
Oh yeah, peace, guys.